statement really was until I stepped foot on my campus. As you're all about to enter college, I'm sure there's a lot of unknowns. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my freshman year and my experience of being a conservative student on a liberal campus. My name is Abigail Thomas, and I'm a fellow at the Claire Booth Luce Policy Institute, a rising sophomore at Christendom College. I didn't attend Christendom for my freshman year. I spent the first year at the College of the Holy Cross. I knew the college was pretty liberal, but I was determined to show up to campus, find a group of conservative students, and make Holy Cross my home. After my first night on campus, I realized that this would be much more challenging, given the sounds of partying coming from my hall. The next morning, we were told by our dean that we were already without 2 of our classmates because they'd been hospitalized with alcohol poisoning. I can't say I was surprised by this, but I was starting to get a little nervous about the student culture on campus. Let me just say, not a partier. I don't mind going out with friends every once in a while, but I would so much rather curl up and watch a Downton Abbey while FaceTiming my little sister so that we can swoon over Matthew Crawley together because, wow. I accepted the party scene on campus and moved on, realizing that it was probably just kids going crazy on their first night away from their parents. 2 weeks after I arrived, I was having a discussion with a friend, and I mentioned I was a conservative Catholic. My mistake. The conversation quickly turned into a grilling session of all of my opinions, which I answered to the best of my ability. By the end of the conversation, I'd been deemed homophobic and racist, even though I answered the questions according to Catholic doctrine. Needless to say, that friendship petered out pretty soon afterward. I also found liberal bias in the academic world, mostly from my professors. I had approached the topic we were discussing in class from a conservative angle, and my professor did not like that. While analyzing a monologue from a play, all of the other girls portrayed it as a feminist take down the patriarchy speech. I saw it as an endorsement for traditional marriage, and a depiction of what happens when the balance between men and women is upset. My classmates received A's for their work. I received a B. Later, that same professor told us that Republican is a dirty word, and she frequently subjected us to anti-Trump rants, which she would then conclude with a smile, saying, "That wasn't me." Another professor told me that she didn't want me to transfer because then I would be with too many like-minded conservatives. I also had to go to mandatory liberally slanted workshops. One was entitled, "Who's in the Room? How Our Stories Contribute to Authentic Community," although nobody was interested in hearing my story. Another, entitled "Antigone and Ferguson," literally preached, with an actual gospel choir accompaniment, the Black Lives Matter movement. An email from my administration told me that if I did not attend these workshops, I'd have trouble finding housing the following year, and that would be burdensome on my future roommate. It was clear that even though the liberals claimed to tolerate everyone, they would not tolerate me for my beliefs. Socially, I wasn't really getting anywhere. I had a few good friends from the ballroom dance team, but I went to Mass every week, joined Students for Life, attended talks, joined liturgical ministry, went on retreats, anything I could think of to try and get myself into a conservative group. Even the conservatives of the campus were heavily influenced by the liberal agenda and were pretty flaky on some of the most important conservative social issues. I had acquaintances, but not many real friends. And that's one thing that we as conservatives are warned about. It's a difficult and lonely road, but it takes experiencing it for ourselves to understand how lonely it really can be. I'd often call my mom, and I'd ask her if I was doing anything wrong. Why was I sitting alone in my room almost every Saturday night while everyone on my floor was getting dressed with their friends, going out, and posting about their adventures on Instagram? My mom told me I was doing everything right, that the fact I was alone in my room on a Saturday night spoke volumes about my character. Much as I wanted friends, I was not willing to sacrifice those values that are most important to me in order to fit in. I wasn't going to enter the party scene, partake in the hookup culture that ruled my campus, or dress provocatively just to fit in with the girls on my floor. I distinctly remember a conversation I had with my mom a few months ago when I had walked by a group of girls who were not dressed particularly modestly as they were getting ready to go out. I, meanwhile, was wearing yoga pants and an oversized t-shirt that probably displayed some kind of pro-life mantra. I was all ready for a night of tea and watching Madam Secretary because I'm secretly 85 years old. Even though it was lonely, Mom told me I was setting myself up to be much happier in the long run than the girls who bounced from meaningless hookup to meaningless hookup. These girls were convinced they were happy and empowered because of the lies fed to them by the feminist movement. Mom said I was radiating confidence because I knew I was worth more than that. I knew that God had created me to be better than that. I needed my mom to reinforce this every once in a while as I prepared for yet another Saturday night alone in my dorm. But it made all of those nights a little bit easier, because it is hard, I won't lie about that. It's hard to watch people go out, watch them have friends and boyfriends, because isn't that what college is all about? But I can tell you that the ones who don't enter that scene, or at least not to the extremes that I saw, are going to be happier. Our lives are more fulfilling because we're focusing on the things that matter and using our college times to really figure out who we want to be. Now, I'm not saying that we all shut ourselves up in our room and take up knitting on Saturday nights. I'm not advocating that we dress modestly in turtlenecks and Bermuda shorts because that's honestly a horrendous fashion statement. Don't ever do that. I own a leather jacket and I flaunt it proudly, often paired with the fiercest red lipstick I can find. Go out and spend time with your friends. Join a lot of clubs so that you can find the causes that are most important to you. Make friends with your roommate. Throughout all the trials of my freshman year, I was blessed with an amazing roommate. She would patiently listen to my rants about the liberal bias at Holy Cross and leave a bar of dark chocolate on my bed when she knew I'd had a long week. It made freshman year much more bearable knowing that I had a friend to talk to at the end of the day. Be kind and be classy. I know it's tempting to be passive-aggressive and a little petty when it comes to combating the liberal movement, but it's so much better to be known as the kind friend rather than the annoying conservative. A couple of friends I did make at Holy Cross believed completely opposite things than I did, but they were kind, and I tried to be, and so we got along pretty well. Lastly, but most importantly, go to church. Don't skip church. I know it might seem inconsequential and easy to skip, but faith is one of those things that last. I understand it's difficult. Often, I felt like my prayers really weren't doing a whole lot, but to have that 1 hour to reflect and pray for guidance is helpful. Over the course of my freshman year, Mass became the place where I found a little bit of peace before I faced another week in liberal land, as my family so affectionately called my campus. In April, after a particularly tearful phone call to my mom, she texted me and asked what I thought about transferring. At first, I shuddered at the idea. First of all, I have 8 brothers and sisters, and 4 of them are older than me. They all went to incredible schools, including the United States Military Academy and Georgetown University. None of them transferred. I had it stuck in my head that I'd be that one child who couldn't stick it out when things got hard at school. My sisters and my mom convinced me that I had done everything I could at Holy Cross to make it fit, and there was no point in digging in my heels for 3 more lonely years. I've officially transferred and will be attending Christendom College this fall. My point is, do everything you can in college. Join those clubs, go on retreats, go to church. But sometimes, God might be calling you for a different path, and so don't be afraid to listen. He usually knows what's up. I wasn't intending to transfer, but I'm so glad I made the decision, and I cannot wait for the upcoming school year. And with that, I'd like to congratulate you all for attending this conference, for already realizing the values that were important to you, and for having the courage to advocate for what's right. Thank you for holding true to your beliefs. Keep fighting the good fight, as my mom so often tells me when she hugs me goodbye, and if anyone is up for a Downton Abbey marathon, I'm your girl. Thank you.